It's Friday the 13th. It's October. It's 8:31 in the morning. It should be all spookified, but it's a lovely fall morning here, so it's hard to be spookified on Friday the 13th. But let's get spooky about talking about Wizards of the Coast nonsense. What's up, nerds? What's up, podlings? What's up, my friends? It is I, the OGGM, coming to you live from spooky Site B with my black cat, Steve the Cat, to talk about Wizards of the Coast nonsense for the week, because we can't have anything nice. This is the point where I ask you once again, Wizards of the Coast, to just please, just stop. Just take a frickin' break. So we have two major stories coming out of the Wizards of the Coast bullpen, I guess that's what you call it. First is the first fallout from the previous announcement of their relationship with Random House Penguin Books. And the second is we have some more news on what's going on with the VTT D&D Beyond Bastion system that they announced. So here's the big one. So let's start with this. So as you know, Hasbro, Wizards of the Coast, Random House said we're not going to put the D&D stuff through Random House anymore. So if you're used to getting D&D stuff at your Barnes & Noble or your Target or wherever Random House delivers to, not anymore. But we'll still have it on Amazon. But as we found out yesterday or the day before when we were looking at Prime Day sales, no, it looks like Amazon is trying to get rid of their stock really, really quick. But for anybody who misunderstood, the non-D&D stuff, the stuff that Hasbro controls, like the lore books and the story books and the Drizzt shit, that's still going to be available, just not actual rule books. Well, to follow up on that, they said, we're starting a new series of books and multimedia projects around a brand new iconic adventuring party called the Fallbacks. And it's going to be released through Random House. So while you won't be able to get a player's handbook at Barnes & Noble or Target or apparently Amazon anymore, you will be able to get the Fallbacks book and other stuff. And that's the name of their brand new iconic adventuring party, the Fallbacks. Okay, that is a horrible name for an adventuring party. I've heard some pretty bad names, but yeah, just no, it doesn't roll off the tongue. Vox Machina, kind of. The Mighty Nein, kind of. Bell's Hells, definitely. The Black Company, right? I mean, So they said, here, we're making a new series of books, and here's a brand new group of adventurers for this series of books. They're called the Fallbacks. Here's your thief. Here's your fighter. Here's your wizard. Here's your cleric. And here's your tiefling, who I guess is a bard or a monk, or just supposed to represent every class that isn't covered by the core 4. So you got your core 4, thief, fighter, wizard, cleric of course being a dwarf, and then tiefling representing everything else, I guess. I'm a sorcerer / warlock / bard / monk. All right. So they've announced that they're going to be doing a book, and then there's going to be doing a whole bunch of other multimedia stuff behind these guys. So books, games, comic books, whatever, their new big thing. And of course, Jeremy Crawford claims this is the first adventuring party that Wizards of the Coast has made exclusively for Dungeons and Dragons novels, because in Jeremy Crawford's mind, if it didn't exist in the room that he's in, it doesn't exist. So just to let people know that there have been novels about adventuring companies throughout the history of Dungeons and Dragons. And I mean, Drizzt and company, but there's been others. So, but yes. So what does this mean? Because it sounds like they're trying to copy Critical Role. They're already referring to these characters as iconic. Well, I assume they mean iconic the same way Pathfinder uses iconic in references to their example characters. And as this is the iconic presentation of what you would think and expect a member of this class to look like. This is our iconic rogue, in that they are the most generic, cliche, iconic version of a rogue that we can cobble together to create. So this is I guess that's what they mean. This is what, the epitome, the ultimate example of each of those classes are. When you think of that class, this is what you think of, as opposed to the other meaning of iconic, which means you know instantly recognizable characters. Batman, iconic. And so they're trying to compete with the iconic characters in Vox Machina, failing to, of course, to understand that, you know, it took a long time and a vast amount of work and a huge fan base to get Critical Role Vox Machina where it was, and then COVID happened. So in order for Wizards of the Coast to repeat that, they would have to start now, presenting us with a ongoing series of live plays featuring these characters over at least a year, if not longer, develop a fan base, hope that fan base hooks onto it much the same way the Critical Role fan base hooked on to Critical Role, and then hope there's another disaster of global proportions that keeps people inside for a while so they have nothing better to do than watch this. So I guess that's what they're hoping for. Hey, Ironcaster. Hey, Dark Winter. So yeah, they've announced the Fallbacks as a new book series. They're iconic new adventurers. They're going to, I guess, be the example characters for 2024 D&D. I don't know. And they're, you know, it's obvious that they're trying to compete with the Critical Role and the Amazon thing. What does this mean? Why would they need to do this? I mean, they already have an iconic group of players playing their game. They have several iconic groups being played by people playing 5e. Why would they need their own unless they're concerned that one or more of those groups won't be associating with them anymore? Specifically, since it feels like they're trying to compete with a certain YouTube phenomenon, are they suggesting that, well, maybe we're not sure we're going to have well-written, no woke nonsense, at least initially, which has no woke nonsense? The article, or the thing on Bastions, because we're going to get to Bastions in a second. So they're trying to create something very, very quickly in order to start a media campaign around these characters as quickly as possible and to try and get them to reach the same level of recognition as other D&D characters and as Critical Role. Mind you, it took... clearly, they need to make supporting character material for Radiant Citadel. I think they've already given up on Radiant Citadel. They might go back to Strixhaven, but yeah. You will notice in the table of contents when you look at all the things that are connected to Planescape, no mention of the Radiant Citadel. It is just completely forgotten. And you would think that would be the thing. But anyways, let me get back on point. But thank you, Ironcaster. I appreciate that. So that's a lot of responsibility and a lot of expectations for this brand new media group of adventurers with no buildup behind it and no way in shape or form recreating the multiple steps that it took Mercer and company to reach where they are today. The only reason you'd be doing this, I mean, friends, I may not know a lot. But I do know how the industry works. Okay, I spent 20 some odd years of my life working in Studio City in the industry. I'm still somewhat connected to it. The only reason a media company would do this is because they think they're going to lose that. And they don't want people to feel abandoned. So basically, in my humble opinion, what Wizards of the Coast is saying with this announcement is that they're not sure they have a campaign 4 that's going to be D&D centric from Critical Role, because there would be no reason to do this if they've signed a deal with Mercer and Company to continue to be doing Critical Role associated products through the D&D line. The only reason you do this is either you think, well, we need a new iconic group to represent the characters in 2024 D&D, which you don't, because you've repeatedly claimed that's not what 2024 D&D is about. So why need iconic characters that represent whatever? So yeah, my mind's telling me basically this is them saying without saying, nope, we're doing our own, and we're doing our own multimedia campaign around these because we don't think we have access to Critical Role in 2024. Now, I'd be even more excited about this if Critical Role and Darrington Press actually gave us some any new information about Daggerheart or Illuminated Worlds or Candle Obscura or To the Last Gasp, but they haven't. But I mean, this is a red sign. This is a flashlight. This is a, no holds bar, everybody out, all exits, no waiting kind of news that I think is being underplayed. And I'm sure there are people out there who will say that it means nothing or it's a really good thing. It's not, because first, the amount of energy and time they would have to invest to make this anywhere close to as popular as Critical Role, well, that's just impossible. You can't repeat all those steps. There's just no way. You could come close, but yeah, no. Plus, it's being sponsored by Wizards of the Coast, and we know Wizards of the Coast can't tie their own shoes. So yeah, this is just going to be a disaster. So yeah. All right, moving on to the other news, the Bastions. So if you remember, they had a new blah, 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 blah. What do you call it? Playtest out. And in this playtest out, they had the new rules for cantrips or lack thereof. And they had something called Bastions, where your character now has the ability for the very first time in the history of the game to build or find a base of operations. And they're going to give you rules on how to do castle building, keep building, maybe build your keep in the Borderlands, building. Or if you find a keep, rules to do campaign play, to do Kingmaker, to build a base, because never before in the history of the game have you had any option to do that. Unless, of course, you look at the original rules where it says at 10th level, so-and-so can attract so many followers and probably needs to build a base of operation. And they had things like how much it would cost to build a castle and a keep and stuff like that. And they have consistently had variations of those rules since day one. And there are multiple third-party products out there that have done this exact same thing, including, of course, Kingmaker from Paizo. But according to them, this is the first time they've ever done it. And everybody who has read it said this is one of the best things Wizards of the Coast has done for 5e, which isn't saying much because basically all they did was copy and paste Kingmaker and look at the headquarter rules from Wizards, World of Warcraft or EverQuest or Guild Wars, all these video games gave you the ability to make clubhouses for your character and for your guild and things you could do in that clubhouse for your character and your guild. And we had the campaign building rules from Kingmaker and from Monty Cook and from Matt Colville, and several other people have done campaign building guides. So that's all they did, is they just cut, keep in the Borderland, placed it in 5e rules, and went, look at this grand things we did. And people are like, wow, these rules are great. Unfortunately, if and when they implement the Bastion rules, they're going to be on D&D Beyond. Doesn't mean they won't present some version of the rules in the DM's guide, but this is going to be a D&D Beyond VTT thing. So in order to, and it's basically going to function like a guild house in World of Warcraft. According to Crawford, this is from Crawford, the Bastion system is going to be online. You pay your monthly fee and you get a certain amount of points to build your Bastion online, place your saved characters in the Bastion online, pay your monthly fee to have access to the Bastion and the characters that are saved in the Bastion. You can use the Bastion to download and put all your PDFs of any Wizards of the Coast product you've purchased on D&D Beyond. Of course, you have to pay your monthly fee to continue to access them after you've purchased them, the digital version. And you can do things like store characters. And if you want to pay them more money, you can store more characters. You can have trades between your characters and other players. And you can decorate the inside of your virtual Bastion on D&D Beyond as long as you purchase the things and decorate it. And doesn't this sound really, really familiar? Really familiar. It sounds exactly like how the hideouts work in video games, and nothing like the actual kingdom building rules. Now, that's not to say that these rules won't have a physical component written down in the DM's guide, and that there will be rules for in actual play for you to go and build your keep on the Borderlands. I'm going to keep saying that because it's just so obvious. But what they're saying also is basically, we want you to pay us the privilege to play house on D&D Beyond and then build your little headquarters because D&D Beyond is going to be a video game / virtual tabletop / I don't know, multimedia experience featuring the cast-offs, I guess. So yeah, your little digital kingdom on D&D Beyond will be the ultimate end goal of the Bastions. Microtransactions to put, decorate the Bastion. So there you go. There's your news from Wizards of the Coast this week. Clarification of the Bastions. And of course, the news regarding the announcement of this brand new multimedia adventuring party, the cast-offs or whatever they're called. Yeah. The second chancers, the people you call when you got nobody else. A found family of misanthropes and degenerates and quirky characters who only work well together, and through their weirdness and quirkiness and comedy bantering and manage to solve problems that normal adventurers and your high-level mega heroes can't because they're quirky. Yeah, Vox Machina. We're gonna try and create Vox Machina in like a week. Buy this book. Look at these characters. Aren't they cool? Says to me they're running scared, guys. I'm sorry. I could be completely wrong, but my insight tells me, if you're doing this, it's because you're running scared that you're going to lose your multi-million-dollar media juggernaut that is Critical Role, and you want to make sure you have a parachute. You want to make sure you have an alternative to present to your audience when Critical Role goes, screw you, we're making our own game. Am I wrong? And that's, and we know the one thing everybody asked for from Dungeons & Dragons 2024 6th edition was microtransactions to have a virtual clubhouse, right? That's what you all wanted, right? Or you could just pick up a copy of Kingmaker for Peso, or any one of the other hundreds of companies who have made campaign builder, Kingmaker type rule sets. You could, I know they're in Castles and Crusades. I know Monty Cook did them. I think even us at Wretched, we did a city builder, campaign builder. So yeah, you could pay Wizards of the Coast for the privilege of having your online clubhouse that you have to pay a monthly fee for, as well as pay for microtransactions. And then, or you could just buy another one, or make up your own. Okay, we got some comments. I got some comments. I never get comments. Anyone picturing the High Republic from listening to WOTC's? Yes. No. The High Republic? Maybe. Hey, OGGM. Hey, Ironcaster. Well written, no woke nonsense initially. What is? Clearly, they need to make more supporting material for Radiant Citadel and Strixhaven. Yeah, like I said, I think they've given up on Radiant Citadel. Sorry, but can we release decent books, let alone match the icons of D&D 3rd edition? You mean Midnight and Company? I think that's what they're trying to do. But again, it took years for people to go, man, Cyric's hardcore. Is Chris Perkins DMing a new group running these characters much like he did with Penny Arcade? No, Chris Perkins is back DMing Acquisitions Incorporated. Thank God. But I guess they have plans to introduce these characters. I think Bastions is a good idea. Players need more gold sinks. They give them something to care about. And WOTC has woefully neglected this. Oh, it's absolutely a great idea. Go back to day one and you look at, the fighter, and you just look at the high level. What's the high level fighter get? The ability to attract followers and build a keep. What's the very first D&D adventure most people think of? Keep on the Borderlands. What is it? The first thing you do with Keep on the Borderlands? Clear out the keep and make it yours. Campaign building is great. But to say, for Wizards to say, oh, this is the first time and whatever, no. And we know there's going to be better versions. Just look at Kingmaker. Are the players willing to stay close to a home base? I guess that's what they're hoping, is that you'll spend all your time playing house. Probably not very medieval authentic. A bunch of people who share a house and never fight over it and spend a bunch of money to decorate it. Well, one of those threes is actually medievally accurate. I'll just work out a custom version based on a lot of these ideas for my home games. I'll pass it on the VTT subscription fee for a system my players might not want to even engage with. Yes, of course. Make your own shit. So microtransactions to use this thing completely unrelated to gameplay. Yeah, but I mean, Path of Exile and Fortnite and all those other games shows you that microtransactions work. And that's what they're counting on. What if we stick to normal gaming and not go online, making up our version of that and not play Wizards of the Coast a thing? I think that's what most people are doing, except for the 3 people who still are pro Wizards of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast is feeling the heat of competition. They have to adapt and improve now or go the way of the dinosaur. Yes, exactly. And finally, first they need to focus on good products and ditch the agenda-driven nonsense. Yeah, yes they do. Don't see that happening. How long before they realize we don't need them to do that? They haven't. That's the problem. Kobold Press, maybe. Tales from the Vents, looking, I guess, like a good alternative for the people who want to still play 5e. Kobold Press makes amazing product both for 5e and for just the game in general. So, is Tales from the Valiant going to be the 5e killer? Maybe. I don't know. It's either going to be that or Daggerheart. It depends upon when they release it. All right, that's 22 minutes too long of your time talking about our beloved Wizards of the Coast. What do you think of the Bastion rules? Are you excited about them? Are you willing to pay Wizards of the Coast a $6 a month fee for the privilege of having a hideout that you then have to pay for to store things and decorate and blah? What about the announcement of the Fallbacks? Are you going to run to Barnes & Nobles and be the first to pick up this series of books and go, yes, this is the Critical Role replacement I've been looking for? Or are you going to be like, no, I don't care. Maybe in a couple of years I'll care, but I don't care now because this is just not interesting. I bet the book's going to be written by AI. All right, I'll see y'all later. Have a great Friday the 13th. Be safe. Spooky, spooky, spooky. And thank you, Dark Winter, Iron Tales, and Ironcaster for dropping by. That's always nice to see a few people out there. Maybe I should do some more of these live chat things like everybody else does.